you did a blind taste test, right, between a roaster and Bellwether. And clearly I just started drinking coffee again after like 3 years, so I'm definitely not one to test this with. But can you really tell a difference? And then going back to the greenhouse gases, and can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's kind of fascinating. But 65,000 coffee shops
Right.
take or leave some, and then the 2,000 roasters. Can any, and I have so many questions within this, so sorry, bear with me. But can any coffee shop just purchase one of these? Or how
Hmm.
big are they? Do you create
Yeah.
smaller sizes?
Well, let's tackle the taste question first. So when we
Hmm.
designed the roaster, one thing that I was pretty adamant about is that we didn't need to like fix the way that coffee tastes. Okay. Because,
Hmm.
uh, the, in the last 20 years, it's become pretty easy actually to find good coffee.
Hmm.
There's been a tremendous amount of knowledge dissemination, and there are in fact training classes you can take. There are for-profit schools. The Specialty Coffee Association also offers classes where you can learn how to buy green to some degree by unroasted coffee, which is a very important contributor to quality, and how to roast, certainly how to brew beverages, right? Like when I started at Blue Bottle in 2004, that playbook wasn't out there, so we kind of had to figure it out. There's a tremendous amount of trial and error, right? And that was actually,
Yep.
there was also a lot of freedom for us. We felt like we can figure this out, right? Just try harder until you figured it out. But these days, there are no more secrets like that. So um, when we designed the roaster, we said the problems to fix are not that coffee doesn't taste good enough today. It's that it's being roasted in a manner which is inconsistent, highly inconsistent,
Hmm.
and I would say it's just not appropriate technology. It's no longer compatible with the needs of the world today. Your basic roaster design, what they call an open flame drum roaster, is a design that harkens back to the 19th century, right? That's like, I think, but it has antecedents well before that, actually. And it is a really, really simple device. It makes great coffee, but it expends a tremendous amount of natural gas to do so. And it produces a lot of very thick smoke as well, right? And so it's energy intensive, but then it also produces a big effluent stream, like a lot of pollution. That pollution most people never see because it's burned off in most cases in what's called an afterburner, which is a fancy word for a giant natural gas flame, right? So the energy used to roast the coffee is often less than the energy that is used to clean off the smoke from roasting the coffee. Okay. It's not insignificant, the amount of natural gas that is used there. The other problem is, I mean, I want to say it depends on your perspective. The, it is a lot of fun to roast on one of these things. Okay. And I like old contraptions generally. Like I drove to work today in my 1981 Toyota pickup truck, right? And I love
Hmm.
it. I love it. I've had it. It's been my daily driver since 2007. Okay, but I don't drive it very far every day. My wife and I have an electric car that we use when we actually need like a functioning modern automobile, right?
Hmm.
But for the two
Yep.
mile commute into work or to drop my daughter off at school, it's fun and it's neat, right? And I guess this is my point with these old open flame drum roasters. They're really fun to work on,
Hmm.
but it's hard to get the same coffee out of them every time because they're very manual and they're very subject to ambient conditions. So if it's cold
So it's
outside,
a
your
little
roaster
bit
is actually colder.
inconsistent.
They're
Hmm.
quite inconsistent. Now, if you're an expert roaster, you can mediate that inconsistency and you can make the product taste consistent, but nobody's ever going to be perfect, right? And so I think that the one huge improvement has just been that we've addressed the greenhouse gas problem that roasting presents. Okay. And I think it is incumbent upon people in the coffee industry to wake up and start taking care of their own business here, right?
Hmm.
Like the cavalry's not just over the hill. We have to clean up our industry. And for the longest time, there was no good way of doing so. There really was only one way to roast coffee. I'll say Loring Smart Roaster, which is another US-based roaster manufacturer, they took a giant step forward, probably now, maybe 20 years ago almost now. They started releasing roasters that consumed a lot less natural gas, right? And it took them a long time for people to adopt their technology and to understand that that was good coffee. And now we've sort of completed that. This is a very long-winded lead up to your actual answer, which is to say that the roast chamber in a Bellwether looks a lot like a conventional roast chamber. Okay. And the coffee tastes that way too. It tastes like excellent coffee that has been roasted on a high quality roaster. So could you tell the
Very
difference? We frequently do blind taste tests here. People who are in the industry might, they know that we cup our coffees a lot. Cupping is a term for a very ritualized way of tasting coffee. And
Well, wait, go into that. What does that entail?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we're never gonna get around to anything
You can't drop
here,
that.
Kirsten.
And I know, sorry,
So
but I'm
cupping
so
is a highly
curious.
ritualized way of tasting coffee. It's the sort of the way that professionals will do sensorial analysis. Okay. And what you do is you take, in our case, I'll describe our cupping methodology. You take 12 grams of coffee. We grind them to a specific grind size every time. It has to be the same grind size every time because the finer the particles, the more surface area and the more complete the extraction in water will be. And you want to remove that as a variable. So same grind size every time, always in the same 5-ounce whiskey glasses from Duratuff. We get ours from Duratuff. They are of the Gibraltar line. And then that's just the name of the cup. That's actually like many people in the industry would probably recognize that they're a popular cup for this activity. Put the ground coffee in there.
We actually have those in our house.
Yeah, they're great glasses too. You can drop them from
great.
like a foot and they bounce.
100%. We have 3 boys, and I'm like, well, it's probably not going to break, so
that's it.
We're good.
So then you put hot water in there, and the water always has to be the exact same chemistry, because water chemistry matters a lot in coffee. And then it has to be the exact same temperature because temperature matters a lot, right?
What's your optimal temperature for coffee? Because there's tea. I'm a big tea drinker, and there's clearly an optimal time and temperature.
Generally hotter than tea, I will say. I like 204 degrees or so. Okay. Now for cupping, it has to be. I can't remember what the team does in the lab. I think it's either 202 or 204 every time, right? Because again, like 1 degree will change the way the coffee tastes. And when you're cupping coffees and tasting coffees like this, you want to make sure that what you were tasting is the coffee, not a change in your water chemistry or temperature or your grind size or any of the other things that it could be, right?
Yep.
And so you would actually smell the coffee before you put water on it. Then you put water on it, okay? You wait 4 minutes. Then you're going to scrape that stuff off the top. There'll be a little foamy, crusty thing that formed on the top. Then you smell. There's a huge blast of aromatics that comes out when you scrape the crust. Okay, and then you would clean all of that off, and you let it cool until around 13 minutes or so, usually, when it is cool enough that it will not burn your palate. And then you slurp it as you would sort of slurp hot soup. And you are trying to aspirate it and actually like kind of like vaporize it and get it everywhere in your mouth at the same time. And I'm now like an...
That's really fascinating.
Oh my gosh, it's very ritualized. Very ritualized. But there's a point. You want to do everything the exact same way every time so that the coffee that comes in, you're always greeting the coffee and understanding the coffee. And in order to fully experience the coffee, you must kind of be experiencing nothing but the coffee. You want everything else to be so rote and so inconsequential. It's the same way it always has been that you really only have the coffee speaking to you. So we cup our coffees all the time. We cup our coffees versus coffees from other people's roasters. And we also have done this exercise with many other companies. And yes, the Bellwether roasts coffee just as well as other companies. And those who are out there listening and feel doubt in their hearts, please reach out to us. We're happy to let our coffee do the talking for us around here. We really do 100% believe that we've built the best roaster ever built. I think we built the most controllable and consistent roaster ever. And there's no trade-off with quality at all when you achieve this sustainability.